nice. We can chat a lot of shit and make it a quick one. To be honest, one of the reasons why I kind of was trying to stall a little bit was I don't know where my phone is. By the way, I was trying to give Sly some time to send his picks over.
Fair enough. Well, counterpoint. We could do what me and Sly did, which was I can't say fucked it up because I really liked the beginning, but I was like, he was like, yeah, so we're recording, yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm like, I got no facilities for editing shit, so when I press record, that's the start of the show, and that's it, and we just go. And he was like, yeah, cool. And then I pressed record and he acts all like, whoa, we're recording. I'm like, we just had this conversation.
No, you know, the only funny part of it was, and I love Sly's sandwich eating, but usually when he's sitting next to me, he's a lot further away from the microphone. So when I was listening to the podcast, the only thing that I could hear was Sly eating a sandwich. Like, it was so noticeable.
He took me through that pizza step by step. I knew everything there was to know about that fucking pizza before we pressed record. And he thought I was going to put that shit in the episode as well.
Well, on that note, whether we talk about the actual card or not, hello and welcome to the MMA Split Picks show for maybe UFC Vegas, Sandhagen versus Dillashaw. We don't know. We don't know if we're actually going to get to the picks. There's no Sly. There's no structure. There's no reason. Josh is getting a new job and he's tired. I'm also tired, a little beaten up because doing a high intensive boxing class without a lot of the training around it that I was doing to keep myself fit enough to do it. So that's proving difficult. But we're here. And
we're here.
Sly is on holiday. He might send us his picks. He may not. We're going to find out. But he's having a great time in Ibiza. So we're going to shit on him a little bit. Because earlier this week, or was it last week's pick show, Sly was saying, oh man, these next two cards coming up, they're dog shit, mate. They're not even worth watching. This card is a joke.
Did he really say that?
Yeah. He was poo-pooing it. Like, not only have we got a title fight level of quality in the main event 5-rounder and a very relevant fight for who's going to be the next title challenger after they do Sterling versus Young 2. But, I mean, okay, are they big names? No. But for the hardcore fans, this is like a wet dream. Aspen Mad Macy tries on. Kyler Phillips, Piver. Darren Elkins is on this card. Macy Barber's taking on Miranda Maverick. Little Masvidal is fighting Randy Costa.
I'm pretty excited for that Yanez Costa one. Yeah, there are some really good fights on it. There are some that have been really hard to pick. Like there's a couple where I really don't know. I'm just arbitrarily making picks, but I know what you mean. Yeah, this is going to be a good card. I understand where Sly's coming from a little bit because he does like having some big name value on there. He does like kind of clear cut title contender fights, or just getting a reason to be excited for it. This one, on paper, I'm gonna say it's like an 8 out of 10.
I would agree with that. I think that this card's going to deliver. I think they've got some really good, well-matched fights. I got to be honest, man. I am so stoked to see Corey Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw for so many different reasons. The style matchup, the fact that they used to train together, the different stories that I've been hearing. And that brings me up to this. Have you been hearing a lot of the different rumors and chats about when they used to train together in the different camps?
I don't know much about. I knew they trained together. I didn't. I haven't been reading much about what Sandhagen's been saying, but pretty much everybody says the same thing about Dillashaw. He's a massive dickhead in sparring, even in grappling classes and stuff. He's. In fact, I believe when he seriously injured Chris Holdsworth, I don't think it was in a sparring session. I think it was in like a wrestling session.
Yeah, it was submission grappling, I believe.
Yeah.
So he got tapped, and then Holdsworth releases the submission, and then he cracks him in the back of the head.
Yeah. So I enlighten me, but it's just going to be in the vein of that, right? He's a massive arsehole. No one likes him.
Well, so this is what I've heard, and I've heard it from Chael Sonnen, who was there. They used to train with each other, and they sparred with each other once. Now, this was back in the day, and it was so one-sided that the coaches basically had to decide that they can't spar each other anymore. It's not a good idea. And the coaches of that fighter, when this fight got announced, wanted anybody but this guy as a result. It hasn't been confirmed which direction it was, which fighters' coaches didn't want this fight, which fighter was the one that got his ass kicked in sparring. And logic could certainly dictate that it might have been Corey who had the ass kick because he would have been much younger. I mean, much, much younger, sparring TJ when TJ was in his prime. But Corey's been begging for this fight. Corey's camp have all been begging for this fight. And they've been saying themselves to other people, I've heard from different sources, they're saying this is a landslide. Not, we've got the tools, we think we match up well. They've literally been saying this is a landslide.
Yeah, man, like I wouldn't be surprised if it was Sandhagen that was getting the better of that sparring session. If it was just a pure stand-up sparring session, not full MMA, Sandhagen's a long guy. He's sneaky, he's crisp. And even if Dillashaw is being a pro trying to push the pace, you'd expect in a sparring session that the longer, crisper, more technical guy was probably having the better time of it. And I also think Dillashaw's probably not the kind of guy that is able to learn much from people that are better than him in a sparring session. I'm just kind of convinced myself that, like, all the different ways in which it could have been Dillashaw getting his ass kicked. But man, for me, I think this fight on paper would be quite a bad stylistic matchup for Sandhagen if it was like peak Dillashaw, you know, juicy EPO Dillashaw, hadn't just had like a long layoff. But I think with the time away, he's going to be rusty. And it's going to be like his fight against John Lineker. He's going to have to rely on his wrestling a lot. And I don't think that he can afford to make mistakes against a guy like Sandhagen, who's got legit jiu-jitsu talent. You know, he is very crafty on the ground. He almost, I would say, evenly matched a Sun Sao on the ground in their fight. And he's got very long limbs. And Dillashaw is not exactly an athletic freak in the division. He's very fast, very strong, but he's not long or so ridiculously strong that he can just power through people. You know, he's not the bantamweight version of Matt Hughes. If he's going to implement his wrestling game, he's going to have to stay very busy in top control and be very, very wary of triangles, guillotines, Bravo chokes, darces, everything really. So I don't know. I feel like this fight would have been pretty close. If not for the layoff. But man, I can't look past Sandhagen for this one. There's just a few things in his technique where, yeah, he might get caught, you know. Like his head movement's good, but he can be guilty of just ducking under things, which isn't going to work very well against Dillashaw because he's very slick. He's got a lot of weapons. And if you're not using your length very much in and out, if you start going up and down in your combinations, which, Sandhagen is prone to do when he's trying to kind of work his way inside, land a flying knee, land some nice punches. There might be moments where Dillashaw can catch him, but I think Sandhagen's going to knock him out.
Yeah. TJ's 35.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that I kind of thought as well. You know, this is a young man's division.
Yeah, although that's 28 in PED years, so
maybe so, but there's a lot of things that are adding up, don't add up well for Dillashaw. You know, he might have been training and really improving on his skills in these 2 years, but it's, you know, he wasn't young going into the suspension. He's not any younger coming out of it. At 35, I just wonder, he might have improved techniques, but how much of his training just trying to re-achieve the levels rather than really improve on anything? The question mark, though, for me more than anything else, is the Sterling fight. I know that since the Sterling fight, Sandhagen has come forward and said that he had a mindset issue, that he was physically and mentally intimidated by Sterling before the fight. Sterling's intensity, his willingness to go, and he says it massively affects his performance. And he does say he's really worked on that. And you can see that killer instinct that's come through in his last two performances since that. but he hasn't really fought guys that can do what Sterling can do and have that mix of the wrestling with the striking and you being able to really just disguise everything together. Yeah, you could say Frankie Edgar, but Frankie Edgar's
it ended before it got going as well.
And also, he's even talked about it. He's just said he realized straight away Frankie Edgar wasn't ever going to be moving backwards. There was no feints. Everything was just forward movement, forward movement. So he knew that he could land the knee. TJ's not going to give him that. Even if it's not peak TJ, he's not reckless in that way. You know, he's fought guys like Cody, beaten Cody twice, knowing how cautious he's got to be going into that danger zone. It's a good fight, man. It's a really good fight. But this coach thing, it's. I would have thought this was going to be a really close fight until I heard this thing with the coaches in this previous sparring session, and it's really made me think. Okay, if it's Sandhagen that did, school him, then my assumption is that he's probably improved exponentially compared to Dillashaw, and it's going to be a walkthrough. But if TJ schooled him back in the day, it's like, okay, well, hang on a sec, has he got up to that level? Let me ask you this, because obviously it's a very close fight. You think that Sandhagen's going to win by knockout? I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say Sandhagen by knockout as well. But do you think if Dillashaw was to win, that the UFC are going to really put a lot of weight behind him getting an immediate title fight after that?
The guy puts on exciting fights. Yeah, I think the UFC will. I definitely think that this is the number one contender fight. Whoever wins it. I mean, obviously, if Sandhagen wins, he's definitely getting the next show after the rematch.
100%.
Yeah, Dillashaw. What do you mean? Like, do you think they're really going to try and push him over with it as well? Like, get behind him in terms of the marketing and stuff? Because I feel like they already fucking have given him this UFC Chronicles thing. He's been given a platform to really kind of pretend that he's not completely full of shit, and I don't buy it.
Do you think that he was on EPO for the other fights? I know that they've retested his samples.
Yeah, but it's EPO. It's very unlikely that he was leaving it in his system long enough to get tested. EPO is one of those you kind of have to fuck up. You have to get really, really kind of lazy with it. People were talking about him. Former teammates were talking about him juicing for a long time. And I don't know how much of that was sour grapes because obviously he left Alpha Male under a cloud somewhat. But yeah, I think the guy probably was juicing. Look, when you have a guy who is surprisingly strong, has fantastic like cardio and endurance, it has a very busy, frantic style, very in and out, clearly trains very hard, then, it's one of those, it's like when people say like, oh yeah, like Israel Adesanya was probably using PEDs. Like, well, he doesn't really, that's not his style or his body, or I don't really know what he's using if he is. With Dillashaw, you're like, yeah, almost prototypical. Well, bit of a poster boy for it, to be honest. That's exactly what I would expect someone on EPO to look and perform like. So, yeah, you can't really speculate too much, but it's easy because I don't like the guy. I can say, yeah, I think he fucking was juicing the whole time, or at least, I'd say probably after the Ultimate Fighter, after getting knocked out by Dodson, then the guy kind of has this like resurgence, and all of a sudden he's getting thrown into a title shot, and he's upsetting one of the pound for pound greats of the time, and then destroying him in the rematch as well. There's no part of it where you're like, well, he definitely wasn't using EPO.
I see your point.
All of it paints a picture that it fits the suspicion. I can't get words out today. It fits the conspiracy.
True, but you realize that there's the only worry I have with that is if you pull that thread and logic with some of our other more beloved fighters, it can paint a narrative. I fucking love Robbie Lawler's resurgence. But fuck me, the guy at 32 just suddenly comes out there in the goddamn best form he's ever been in his whole life.
Well, the other thing though with Robbie is, he'd moved to ATT. So this was a guy that had started off his career training the wrong way, militant fighting systems, gets to ATT, and all of a sudden he's a different kind of beast. And then not long after he stops doing sparring, he loses his timing, loses some of his power, looks a bit trigger shy, just can't really get going, can't let his hands go. So yeah, he definitely kind of fits the mold again. With him, there are other factors. Again, I don't train with these guys. I don't live with these guys. I don't work with these guys. So I can never say for certain. But it's easy to cast aspersions on Dillashaw because he's a fucking prick. And there's nothing in his body of work to suggest that he is 1000% a clean athlete,
Okay, yeah. Let me ask you this in this case. Do you think in a weird way that a guy with the kind of personality of Dillashaw is almost, and this might seem like a weird statement to say, but you'll see where I'm going, is almost the type of guy that could handle this kind of public disgrace? The fact that he's kind of already willing to be the villain. He's done the media day and shown no shame about it whatsoever. In fact, his exact narrative is that he came forward with it and was upfront about it once he got caught.
No, not really, because you said you only did it once. You said you did it because you were cutting weight, you were going down, and
also, it's like everyone can be upfront about it once they get caught.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Oh well, you were performing armed robbery in a bank, yeah, but the moment you pulled your guns out at me, I put my hands up, I cooperated, I didn't argue with you. It's like, okay, that's great, but it doesn't change the fact that you tried to rob the bank.
Yeah, and it's he hasn't come completely clean, has he? He didn't get a reduced suspension. He wasn't able to give him credible information to go after anyone else or shut down any kind of PED racket in the UFC or in mixed martial arts. The guy's so full of shit. I really don't like him. I think it is easy for him. He is, like I say, he's completely shameless. He's really simple as well. He's such a basic personality. There really is nothing to him other than the fact that he's a cunt. I mean, in a season of The Ultimate Fighter where there were many people that were easy to hate, he really did fucking stand out.
That's a good point.
You had Brian Caraway. You had John Dodson, who I don't hate, but that laugh, that ridiculous maniacal laugh he always does, very, very grating. I love Michael Bisping, but lots of people that aren't English find him very annoying. And you had Mayhem Miller. And you had, what was that Swedish fighter? Akira Korosani?
You also had a quiet Alabama guy who don't want no trouble from no one.
I other than when he's shitting on Naruto, I actually quite like Marcus Brimage. But when he shits on Naruto, I do think, what a dickhead.
Listen, a lot of people love Dragon Ball Z, but there is nobody that can tell me that they've honestly watched Dragon Ball Z and then gone on the emotional arc of Naruto and can say that they're two equally comparable things.
Well,
Dragon Ball Z doesn't even this is one thing that you notice on like your 11th or 12th rewatch of Dragon Ball Z. There's so many moments where they clearly thought, right, now is the moment. We're passing over from Goku and onto Gohan. Nope, we couldn't go through with it. We couldn't commit. It's Goku again. But don't worry, next time it's going to be Gohan. No, it's not. We still need Goku again.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z all the way through. I haven't watched it properly. But I did. I would get frustrated with like the fillers and the elongated episodes, and it would feel like they were just doing all of the things that did annoy me about Naruto. They would do so much worse. I mean, it didn't have. I just wasn't sucked into it like I was in Naruto.
The worst season was the Frieza saga, where there's a moment where Frieza says the planet is going to blow up in exactly 5 minutes. And then about 14 episodes later, each episode being 20 minutes long, nothing's blown up. Nothing blows up for like another hour. I used to try and justify it by the idea that they're moving so quickly that our perception of time of what we're seeing is a slowed down version. But even that doesn't make sense. It doesn't hold up.
No.
Well, I'm very excited about this main event, but we still have a lot of fun fights on this card. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little surprised that this ended up in the co-main event slot. But the return of Aspen Ladd taking on Macy Chiasson, I look at this fight and I think Macy Chiasson is not ready for this.
Definitely not. I kind of think this is a deserving co-main because this is the next most dramatic fight in terms of title challenges. Yeah, man, Macy Chiasson, it's almost there. You know, she has a lot of potential, and she's almost put it together. But there's just too many moments in every fight where you're like, oh, you've got to get rid. You've got to stop doing that. You know, you can't be as tired as you get in the third round. You can't let your footwork and your hands get sloppy. You can't get kind of lethargic or coast at all. Not if you want to contend, because you know it's quite a tough division, women's bantamweight. I mean, obviously Amanda Nunes is the GOAT, but I mean, like, take Nunes out of it, it's still a pretty fucking tough division to climb your way through. I really like Aspen Ladd as well. I'm excited for this one, but I take it you're going Ladd by finish as well, yeah.
I'm not exactly of the opinion you are. I think with Macy Chiasson, there's so many things that you like. She's a fighter. She's more than willing to take a shot to give a shot. She can round a few different things up quite nicely, and she can be aggressive. I don't see her doing anything other than trying to either fight off her back or end up on her back for a lot of this. And Aspen Ladd is not just going to control her on the ground for 15 minutes. Aspen Ladd is going to get her down and look to get her out of the fight.
Yeah.
It's if Macy can keep it standing, it's one thing. But the problem is that even if you think that Macy's the better striker, I think once a couple of takedowns land, she's going to be so worried about that takedown that Aspen's going to start landing stuff that wouldn't usually land on the feet.
Yeah, and you can freeze Macy. You can freeze her with a good feint. And Ladd hits hard as well. You know, both these ladies hit hard.
I'd say Macy's more of a volume striker though. Aspen Ladd can drop. She has enough power to drop with one shot. And
what's
to be honest,
the size difference?
Her only loss in the UFC was a little controversial as well.
Oh, Lena Landsberg.
No. Against Jermaine Durandamy.
Oh, Aspen Ladd. Sorry. Yeah.
It was one of those where you kind of felt maybe Herb Dean had the ladies' gloves on for that one. It's one punch, and she didn't look like she was out. I thought it was a bit harsh. So, who knows? We need some fresh blood. I can't stress this enough. The number 1 and the number 2 contenders are 39 and 36 years old. And the most interesting other contender that we've seen emerge in the last 6 months is Miesha Tate, who's 34. And it's great. I love that they're back. There's so many fun fights to make. But for fuck's sake, we need somebody that hasn't already lost to Amanda Nunes, who isn't Juliana Pena. And yeah, I'm going to shit on Juliana Pena all the way up until she pulls off some fucking miracle and proves me wrong on 265. I just don't see it happening.
No, I love Juliana Pena, but yeah, it's the Venezuelan vixen isn't breaking any hearts. Yeah, Nunes is just going to stay on that role.
She's got so much balls for angling her way into that fight, but I think she's.
Oh yeah.
As for this fight, I'm going Aspen Ladd by technical knockout.
Same.
Right. I've got a feeling that might be happening a little bit more on this card as we go down to enter the Matrix versus Raulian Paiva. I really like Kyler Phillips. I picked against him in the past and he made me look like an absolute tip for doing it.
Same. Yeah.
Really simple. He's called the Matrix for a reason. The guy's fucking ridiculous. He's really exciting.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to I think it's his last loss. Oh no, he did lose after the Ultimate Fighter. I remembered him losing his first fight on the Ultimate Fighter and thinking, maybe this guy isn't quite UFC caliber. But to be honest, it was Brad Katona, the eventual show winner, who really seemed to peak when he was in the Ultimate Fighter house. So not really a lot of shame in that one. And then, comes out of the house, back to the regional circuit, loses a fight. And since then, he's been perfect. And he's dispatched some decent fighters. Cam Chels Kamchita Else, Yadong Song.
The Song
It's gonna be a
Yudong
really fun
victory
fight.
really impressed me because I know how much hype Song Yudong's been getting from the Team Alpha Male guys.
Oh, definitely, man. He's fucking insane. Paiva as well. It's a good fighter. I'm leaning towards Phillips on this one, but
I'm leaning Phillips. I'm saying Phillips by decision.
yeah, it's kind of got to be. Phillips gets a lot of decisions. Paiva's hard to finish. Just seems like a sensible choice.
Right. We have had word from Sly. He is going to try and send his picks. So what we're going to do is we'll go through our picks, and then I'll just run through Sly's picks really quickly, just so they're all official and confirmed.
Cool.
Man, it's one of your faves. Damage himself, Darren Elkins is back.
Yeah.
Taking on
shit, that boy needs to retire.
Derek Minner. Oh fuck.
Derek Minner, yeah. This guy's good. It's a problem for me because I hate picking against Elkins.
I just fucked him with that fight.
Yeah, it's not a good fight for Darren, man.
They're not even being subtle. That is his fucking. They're giving him the exit push.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, dispatched Boston Strong Charles Rosa. His only loss in the UFC was Grant Dawson, which is like fair fucking play. To be honest, I recognize a lot of the names, wins and losses on his record. It's just this guy is clearly at a high level. And was he's 31, I think? Yeah, 31. So really still quite, peaking, sort of prime age. Darren Elkins, shit. Not only is he old and kind of maybe too long tenured in the UFC, but he has wars. He has absolute wars. He's called the Damage for a reason. It's not just about what he dishes out. This guy's just taking years off his life at this point, man. I unless Darren Elkins is able to get a real safe, easy submission in the first round, which isn't going to happen. I feel like both men are going to come out of this one just looking like fucking. I'm trying to think of. I've just got loads of inappropriate analogies in my head. I'm not going to use any of them. I'm too tired to be a dick today.
Don't worry.
They're going to look fucked up though.
Listen, man. Darren Elkins has been punched enough. We're not going to kick the guy. We're not going to do that. We've got class on this show.
Also scared.
I don't think it's going to be his day. I think Darren Miller's going to get it by. I'll say decision.
I'm glad I wrote mine down because it just looks like I'm copying you. I'm going decision as well.
Well, we're pretty much spot for spot so far.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Matt. There's only 4 finishes I'm predicting on this card. The rest I've got an all decision.
Okay, so no surprises. You are not predicting a first round knockout in that case from Macy, the future barber.
No, not at all. In fact, I'm going the other way. I'm going with Maverick.
Ah, man. Now it looks like I'm copying you.
So here's the decision as well, yeah.
Here's the problem. I need to kind of bear this in mind. I don't particularly like Macy Barber. I found her very arrogant and cocky when she first came into the UFC with her whole undefeated thing and saying she's going to be the youngest champion. And listen, she's trying to find an edge. She's trying to find a hook. She's trying to sell herself. I didn't really think that the talent was matching what people were saying. I thought she just looked like a strong girl that marauds forward, and that's eventually going to get her in trouble. And I'm a really big fan of Roxanne Modafferi and Alexa Grasso. So I've rooted against her for the last 2 fights that she's had. But in those 2 fights, yeah, they're good opposition. They're ranked opposition. But she just looked like she didn't really have any ideas apart from trying to land something heavy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Particularly in the Grasso fight. I feel like she's going to bounce back and she will be a very good prospect at some point. But I can't look past Maverick on this one.
Yeah, the word I'd use is slick.
Yeah.
To describe Maverick. Everything is smooth. Everything is well executed. She's fresher. She's sharper. And you know what? She's only a year older. This is the thing about these young fighters. Unless you're really beating top level guys, keep your mouth shut. You're going to create a problem that you won't be able to fix. Okay, if anything, Macy Barber never should have fought Roxanne Modafferi. She probably never should have fought Alexa Grasso because she shouldn't have had a ranking next to her name. She should have done the Gillian Robertson tour, fighting these girls, Taylor Santos, Molly McCann, those kind of fighters, getting experience. But she talks herself into positions where she's now facing the idea of going on a 3-fight skid. And I don't think that computed to her, but even in her, as possible in her mind as she's walking out to fight Roxy. And that is a problem that, I think Darren Till's face. It's the Conor McGregor spiel and really selling yourself and hyping yourself. You got to be 100% fucking sure that you're ready for that. That's why Izzy was 30 years old, 29 years old when he came to the UFC, because he was going to talk his shit and he was going to be fucking ready when he was talking his shit. He was going to be able to back it up. You don't do that, it creates big, big problems. And I just think that's going to be the case. I think that while Macy's had this hype and lows and injury and frustration, Maverick's just been grinding, working, doing a thing without the same kind of attention or fuss. No smoke being blown up her ass. I think she's going to go out there and get a professional decision win.
Same, man. Decision.
I'll say this about Macy as well. If you want the future to be your fucking ring name, cage name, and your name is Macy Barber, it has to be that you are the future Macy Barber or Macy Barber the future. If you make your name Macy the future Barber, it doesn't sound cool. It just sounds like eventually you want to cut men's hair.
Yeah, you got plan B already figured out.
Exactly. It more sounds like the epithet they're going to use to describe your career. Oh, Macy, the future Barber.
Enough said. Yeah, enough said. I am not excited about this next one at all.
No, not at all. Not even a little bit.
I don't know. Mickey Gould's just a constant disappointment, to be honest.
I've got these fights I've got a different order for these fights. I've got Mickey Gall in the prelims.
Oh, well, that makes a lot more sense. Do you know what? Actually, I'm going off MMA fighting cards, and they fuck up the order a lot. Bring it up on your UFC stats.
Because the next fight, it's in the bantamweight division.
Oh, very excited for this one. Yeah.
It's with a fucking... Where's he from, Randy Costa? I'm stoned as fuck. Is he Boston? Or is he Philadelphia?
Fuck. Let's bring it up. Good old Tapology. Yeah, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Okay. He's
trains with Joe Lozon.
I'm just going to delete this from the podcast. 3, 2, 1. Randy Costa. Fucking as Massachusetts get. It's all over his face. You can just tell this is a Massachusetts guy. You don't even need to look it up on Wikipedia. Taking on, his name is Adrian Yanez. I like to refer to him as Mini Masvidal because he looks fucking identical to Masvidal and he's got hands that remind me of Masvidal. And he's got that love to get in a fight like Masvidal. And in his last fight, he absolutely destroyed the guy. I mean, destroyed the guy, Gustavo Lopez. It wasn't close. It was an absolute domination. He looked ridiculous. To be fair, Randy Costa in his last 2 fights has just knocked the guys out in the first round. But I look at Randy Costa and I see a chin that's up in the air. I see a guy that's not thinking about his defense. And I just think, man, that's going to go really badly for you eventually. And what's the perfect kind of guy to take advantage of somebody who's making fundamental mistakes with where to keep their chin in their defense? A guy with really good boxing.
Yeah. And Yanez is the favorite, but I'm actually, I'm picking Costa on this one. You want to know why?
Why? You want to be different from me?
No, well, maybe that. They were talking about their favorite kind of like indulgences. So Yanez is a big Dr. Pepper guy. Costa's all about Reese's Pieces. Reese's peanut butter cups. And I like Dr. Pepper, but I really love chocolate and peanut butter together. So I've gone Costa by a decision. Let me get that one back in the right order.
Well, what's the worst that could happen with that pick?
Ah, yeah, clever.
Oh, mate, if I ever become a dad, I'm going to be awful. My dad jokes will just times by 10.
Oh man, I love shit wordplay.
I think Randy Costa's getting knocked out. I just do. I just think he makes too many defensive mistakes. It's going to be fun though. And you know what? They're both 27. Really similar records. Obviously, a few more fights for Yanez, which I think is going to prove to be a big difference maker. But I mean, Randy's got a big reach advantage though. But I think it's going to be on the inside that Yanez does the work. Yanez by knockout. And that
I got Costa by decision.
Fair enough.
Did I say decision originally? Sorry. I've written down decision.
You've also mentioned there's only 4 knockouts, and I think you've already said 2 of them.
I have, yeah.
You know, maths in it.
Yeah, next one coming up, actually.
Well, Soriano taking on Brendan Allen. Okay, this is a good fight. Really good fight. I'm not sure about this one. I'm curious to hear what you think.
This is the toughest to pick. Yeah, man. Look, Brendan Allen has, I'd say, his biggest strength is that he just finds a way sometimes. Who did he heel hook? Was it Megatron? What was his last fight?
Oh, Roberson.
That was it. Yeah, Carl Roberson. Yeah. You know, he got the ankle lock. Obviously, getting knocked out by Sean Strickland can happen to anyone. I thought Carl Dorcas maybe looked a little off when he beat Dorcas, but then, you know, you can't really complain when you're dragging people down to a lower level. Got through Tom Breese, Kevin Holland. The guy's fucking impressive. He just finds a way to win. That being said, I have to make a pick. And I've decided I'm going to go Soriano by KO, but I really couldn't tell you why. I feel like Soriano is just a much more dangerous guy in the stand-up game. I feel like Brendan Allen, if he doesn't get a mistake to capitalize on, can be left a little exposed. So, shit, what do you think?
The loss to Sean Strickland's, I wouldn't usually pay too much credit to because it's Sean Strickland's. I think that's just going to happen to a lot of guys that fight him. But he went through him.
Yeah.
He literally just went through him. And I think there was just a lack. It's not just that you've got this guy who's dominating you standing up, but there wasn't really much of a kind of, I don't know, awareness of that. You know what I mean? There wasn't sort of a recognition of, okay, I'm not winning these trades. I need to stop. There just seemed to be this acceptance that he was going to keep trading and eventually it wasn't going to work out well for him. I think the other thing with Soriano is that in reality, if you look at his last win against Todorovic, that wasn't a fight to set him up. That was a fight to build Todorovic, who was their undefeated 10-0 guy that they had a lot of hype and belief in. And he came in and spoiled the party big time, showed what he's about.
Yeah, man.
This one, I don't know. I think he's going to go through him. I just don't think that Brendan Allen does well against a guy that can just, in the stand-up game, just physically impose power and overwhelm him in that category. And I think Soriano is going to do that.
Yeah, man, I'm looking at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 first round finishes. One of those was a rear naked choke, but the other 6 obviously all KOs and TKOs. Yeah, you going Soriano as well with him.
I'm going Soriano. I think he's a little bit shorter as well. But I think it's going to be easy for Brendan Allen to take him down if he wants to bring it to that game. Yeah, I just see Soriano being a fucking pit bull, getting on the inside and just breaking him. Soriano by knockout.
Nice. It's just a good thing I went Costa. Otherwise, we'd just be all tied up this week.
I'm really hoping we get slice picks before we stop this because I can just see them being completely different. Then we've got some separation at least. Okay. Next up, middleweight again, we've got Nasruddin Imavov taking on Ian Heinisch. Imavov, I don't know that much about. I'm not going to lie. Ian Heinisch is obviously coming off a bit of a setback loss to Gastelum. Go.
I feel like Heinisch has kind of hit his ceiling. That said, Nasruddin, I don't think he's a bad fighter, but he lost a decision to Megatron. He won his UFC debut against Jordan Williams, who's obviously going down to welterweight to fight Mickey Gall. So it wasn't like he was up against the biggest guy. Yeah, I'm tempting him just to disappoint me here because, he's pulled off some wins, GM3, Shoeface. He's got some good wins in there, but, he lost to Omari Akhmedov. And, back when Akhmedov was still being quite lazy. Lost to Derek Brunson, fair enough. Lost to Kelvin Gastelum, felt like an inevitability. He should beat Nasruddin. I think the most interesting thing about this fight is that, there's no way either of these guys are going to disappoint me. I've come in with low expectations, and truth be told, both of these boys can bang. So, fuck it, I'm going with the Hurricane. I'm going Heinisch by decision, but this was kind of a tough one to pick, just because I was like, neither of you stand out enough.
We are different. I've gone Heinisch by knockout.
Hey.
I can't remember watching him fight. I know he fought Phil Hawes. I don't remember it. I don't think Heinisch is that bad. I think he's one of these guys where there's clearly something there, but he's entered the sport very late. So he's having to make monumental, he's got monumental gaps he's got to fill in certain areas. But I think that he can be very damaging, very explosive. He was never going to beat Kelvin Gastelum. That was a terrible, terrible fight.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible fight for him. And he got wrestle fucked. But even with that, he still landed a couple of flying knees. And Gastelum's got a chin the size of fucking Mount Everest. So, I mean, you look at what Izzy had to do to knock the guy out. It's not easy at middleweight. But there's something to Heinisch. And my rule, I don't like picking guys that I don't really know or remember. So I went Heinisch by knockout.
Fair enough.
That thing I just said about guys that I don't really know or remember, I don't tend to pick over guys that I do.
Oh, yeah, but it's easy when you're picking against Gall.
It doesn't apply to this fight. Mickey Gall's not that good.
No.
He's just not. He's not even that good at jiu-jitsu. And that's his thing.
He got finished by Diego Sanchez.
he
got finished by Diego Sanchez being coached by Joshua Fabia.
He got out-grappled by Mike Perry in the one area he's meant to be good at, when Mike Perry basically was right in the middle of what's very clearly an alcohol dependency issue, and his girlfriend as his only coach in the corner.
Yeah,
and it's not like, okay, Mike Perry knocked me out. That happens. It's like, no, Mike Perry looks very slow and out of shape, and he's still out-grappled you.
Well, look, this is the thing. If you go through his record, the first time he comes up against a UFC caliber fighter, because his first 3 fights in the UFC were the journalist Mike Jackson, CM Punk, don't even get started, and Sage Northcutt, but a young Sage Northcutt who was kind of fighting in the wrong weight class there. He comes up against Randy Brown. He spends pretty much the whole fight on his back, not being able to do shit, not even amount any kind of submission attempts. George Sullivan, I can't remember the guy. I don't really know who that is. He gets beaten by Diego Sanchez, which, we've already explained how disgraceful that was. Salim Tuari, I can't really think who that is either. These, in fact, yeah, that guy's lost every UFC fight he's had. Mickey Gall has 0 impressive wins on his resume, and it's impossible to pick for him. I don't believe he's a UFC fighter. He's not at that level.
He's got a great ring walk entrance song, though.
So yeah, it's all right. It's all right. He's a prick, though. He annoys me.
He annoys me as well. And I'm predicting that he gets. I don't know if he gets finished. It's like the one thing he can do is just very kind of like stall himself in the losing position on the ground without getting finished. But I think he gets knocked out because this guy's coming down from middleweight. I'm on knockouts.
Yeah.
Mate.
And Williams hasn't won a fight by decision since his second pro fight. This guy finishes fights, so I'm going with Williams by KO. That's mostly wishful thinking, but it didn't seem that stupid when I can't remember what was that when I wrote it down earlier.
This is crazy. So we've had, just hang a sec. So there's 6 fights on the main card.
Yeah, I think so.
So basically, we're 9 fights in, and we've got 1 fighter difference, like 3 methods different. Let's see if this is going to continue. Bantamweight division: Julio Ars taking on Andre Ewell. Sorry. I'm really biased on this one. I don't like Andre Ewell that much.
You think it's going to be a good fight as well, though, yeah?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. He tends to have good fights. I just feel like Andre Ewell isn't as good as he thinks he is.
No.
Ars
might be,
though. Even a couple of his wins he's had, I kind of thought were very on the edge, and I thought he lost them. And I feel against, when he's fought really good guys, he's been schooled a little bit. He's been punished. What was his last fight, actually? Andre Ewell. Let me just bring it up.
I have to look it up.
Don't worry, I'm on it.
Oh, yeah, Gutierrez.
Yeah.
Young
Gutierrez
wrestlers.
just put a schooling on him, I thought. And that was a short notice fight as well. Jonathan Martinez, he got the win, but I thought he was very fortunate. I thought Martinez won that fight. Same with his other fight against Rivera. Very, very close. I didn't think he won it. So I'm thinking Julio Ars by decision.
Yeah, I've gone the exact same way.
Oh my God. Yeah. Julio Ars is beating Julian Erosa, coming off the Dawodu loss, but Dawodu's fucking awesome, so I wouldn't pay too much disrespect to that.
Who else did he beat? He beat Ige as well.
Did he?
Yeah, pretty sure. Am I remembering this right?
Maybe.
Yeah, beat Dan Ige. Miocic and Ngannou won. Also beat Daniel Tamer. So that's a really underrated guy as well, to be honest.
Okay, guy's got drops. You going by decision as well?
Yeah, I'm going by decision.
Okay, let's just breathe through these last 2 because I'm not excited about these last 2 fights at all. Sijara Eubanks taking on Elise Reed. I have no idea who Elise Reed is.
Yeah, she's the only reason I'm not excited about this one. I'm a bit of a fan of Sarge. I really enjoyed watching her in The Ultimate Fighter. She's had a bit of a disappointing career so far. Do you remember when she almost had a title shot? And then
that was weird.
Yeah, but I'm picking Sarge by decision on this one.
Okay. I mean, really, her biggest win was the Agapova win, wasn't it? She was, like, betting wise, she was one of the biggest underdogs to ever win in the UFC.
Wait, no, wasn't that oh man, I've forgotten her name now. She was also in the same Ultimate Fighter season.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of, you're right. My apologies.
What's her name? Why can't I remember? Yes. Dobson. Sorry. I can't believe it.
Oh man, that's my bad. I've got those 2 completely
we're really sorry for forgetting your name and for trying to credit Sijara Eubanks with one of your more famous wins. We apologize.
You guys have similar records. You were both on the same season of The Ultimate Fighter. You don't look that similar, but when I'm looking at the picture, I'm tired, I'm stoned, shit happens. I don't know who Elise Reed is. She's undefeated. She's probably quite good. I want to have some difference from yourself. So I'm going Elise Reed by decision. Why the fuck not?
She might be the biggest underdog on the card.
I am changing my mind and going Sijara Eubanks, realizing that it would literally mean that I could lose the fucking picks on the second fight in, and that would gut me. Sijara Eubanks by decision. At least if she loses, I'm not alone. We're going tactical.
Yeah, that's true. All right. I'm going Goldie on the next one.
Fuck's sake, I'm going Goldie.
Decision?
Only because she was already meant to fight in the UFC and she couldn't because she got COVID or some shit like that. And she was my pick when she was going to be having her first fight.
Yeah, that was Well, I'm looking at it. She was originally scheduled against Loma Lookboonmee, but I think it was the Penne fight where you were picking her. Yeah, man, I'm going Goldie. So fucking Peanut Buttercup better come through for me. Randy Costa. Actually, really, I'm talking about it like Sly's picks don't matter here. We don't know what he's doing. We could both fuck this one up royally.
Yeah, I mean, we're making a lot of very big assumptions on what could be really close fights. Like Costa Yanez, I don't think is going to be close, but it could technically go either way. Could be wrong about Soriano, Brendan Allen. Could be wrong about Macy Barber. Could be wrong about TJ Dillashaw.
I really hope we're not wrong about TJ Dillashaw. I would love for this to be his last relevant fight.
Yeah, because if he loses this, and then he's 35, and then it's going to be at least 2 wins to get back into the picture. And that means that you're either looking at a trilogy with Garbrandt or Rob Font.
I think Garbrandt might actually get the next flyweight shot. Yeah, no, I know, but I'm calling it now. I think it's going to happen. Yeah, man, firstly, there's no reason to do the Garbrandt trilogy because he won the first 2 definitively. There's the Dominic Cruz rematch, but I worry that he would just run through Dom at this point in time, and I don't want to see that. So for me, it's like just lose this one, and then whoever you're going to lose to next, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But just learn your fucking place. Oh, that would be beautiful, actually.
Ah, 2 cunts. 2
Sly
cunts.
would love that.
That's what they'd have. I've got the poster right now. 2 cunts, 1 octagon. You go on a viral marketing campaign, okay, you'll get a fucking 10 million clicks just from people thinking it's the new 2 Girls, 1 Cup. And then they'll see it and they'll be like, damn, this looks like an awesome fight.
You might also have hundreds of millions of people avoid it because they're worried it's the new 2 Girls, 1 Cup.
Also, I mean, there couldn't be a ladies' title fight on that card because otherwise it could be misconstrued as incredibly misogynistic.
Oh, yeah, it'd be even worse than when they had the fight sponsored by a film called Chick Fight, but they didn't fucking contextualize it the first time they threw it up. It was just like, oh, for real? Like you're just gonna condescend your talent like that? That is shameful. And then I think it's like half an hour later they run the trailer after like a couple more fights. You're like, it's just sponsorship. Okay.
Yeah,
man.
Which makes so much more sense. It's like the first thing you say is sponsored by a new movie coming out called Chick Fight. And then everything's okay. The first thing that I remember, because I watched the show live, and then I watched the recording with you and Kate the next day during the daytime. So I already had gone through this process. So as soon as you guys kind of confirmed that it wasn't just me, and I could sort of sit there and be like, yeah, no, trust me, you're going to get there.
No, that was bad. I feel like was it Fitz doing Brandon Fitzgerald doing the like the commentary on that one. Like I feel like if it had been John Anik, he wouldn't have let that one slip. He would have given the circumstances, kind of fleshed out a little bit. Whoever it was, they dropped the ball. So someone should have rescued that fucking shit show. But I fucking man.
What card it was. I think
it was it was the same one where Chaos Williams
knocked out Al
Hassan. Yeah,
that's right. I'm trying to think if it was like a pay-per-view, or if it was just like a UFC fight night.
It was probably a fight night because I think we had to work hard to legally rewatch it the following day. Yeah, Felder against Dos Anjos.
That's right.
Battle of the Tash.
That's right. Memory's a funny thing.
Yeah, so shit, I'll even be able to tell you, it was probably would have been the Randy Marcos Kanaka Murata fight. Actually, no, I think it might have been McKenna against Hansen. Either way, it was embarrassing. Who else do we have on that one? Tony Gravely. Geraldo de Freitas, that was a good fight. Oh, and that was the Sean Strickland, Brendan Allen fight as well. On that
Memory floods back.
Hey.
You were in a different flat back then.
Oh, don't fucking remind me. Shit, man. Hey, this isn't a segue, so it's not on that night. So I'm tired as all hell, Matt.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go to bed.
Sly has not sent his picks through. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to edit and record this during the daytime tomorrow when I'm meant to be working. So Sly has time, and I can just add them as like a footnote at the end or something like that. So that's not too stressful. There's probably been some news, but there was some Bellator. I said we talk about it. We can do a double roundup on Monday. Right now, I said I'd play video games with somebody 40 minutes ago, and I didn't say I was going to be late or look at my phone. So, on that note, bye Dave, bye Laurie, and enjoy the fight.
Peace.